My name is Westville SASCO Finance and Project Officer.
My name is Westville SRC Resident Liaison Officer.
My name is Zama, current REC member of SASCO and the Westville YCL Secretary.
My name is Lukanyo. My surname is Mchingane, commonly known as Banda. I am currently the Westville SRC President here in KZN.
I am Mazibugo, the Secretary General of the Westville SRC and also the Branch Secretary of SASCO here in Westville.
My name is Tom. My surname is Bose, ANC Ukzn Chairperson of Westville Branch.
My name is Mandla Nesh Kumalo. I'm currently Chairperson of SASCO Westville.
My name is Wildman Mandashim Tagane, currently a Deputy President of Westville and the SASCO PAC member treasurer.
Here we are having a SRC, a local SRC of Westville campus and the branches of Westville campus, and further to that we're also having the REC member which actually represent SASCO Devon.
Just to start by outlining, usually they call it protesting, so they are against the word of strikes. But basically what transpired was the issue of financial aid packages. We've seen that students will be excluded financially because there are no funds to fund them. They've been a term being used by the University of Group 2 students. Now this is a term which means that people who are deserving to get financial aid, which means according to government and the university, you are supposed to pass 50% of your modules and then you qualify for financial aid. We had seen that now at a situation that we had more than 3,000 students on Group 2 and the university had told us that they will fund 600. After that we had negotiations that we cannot let more than 2,000 students be excluded. They then tell us via the VC there was a 10 million which was raised. We then calculated in this 10 million as student leaders across all 5 campuses including Westville that why don't you take this 10 million rand and clear people for registration. Why are we saying clear people for registration? Because now we're in a situation that we have agreed with the university that if we clear these people for registration, then the SRC and the university can work together in fundraising money after the people are in the system. Because if you take them home, who are you going to fundraise for them? But now can you please clear these people with the 10 million so that we can then fundraise for students as the SRC and the university. But now the university made it clear that they were willing to only with this 10 million fund 200 students, so which makes the students now 800. We as the Westville SRC together with the branch and PYA structures are still of the view that the 10 million should be used to clear all students who are deserving financial, which is 50%, who have passed more than 50% of their modules. And it must be stated that this interview is strictly for public interest and is done according to the freedom of speech principles. We're of the view that all people should be clear. That is why students are protesting, because you find students who are going to be excluded financially. If you know, government says that in order to get a package, you must pass 50% of your modules. That's from the government exactly. We are saying that take the 10 million, clear the students for registration, while we and the university, I repeat, we fundraise money to help them for the year. We are saying can you at least put them in the system, but not exclude them financially. After that, we're then going to go on campaigns as the SRC and the university in towards raising funds for them. If the university is saying no to our proposal, we are people who live in a democratic country. We are sent by students. Our only goal is to only report to students, because it is students who tell us that now they are doing this and they are doing this. We only report to students. If we have proposals as the SRC and also proposals from the students, it's only then that we go back to students and report that the negotiations have reached this and this and this, and then the students tell us what to do.
Further to that, maybe to add on what the President has just alluded to, is the fact that we as Westville SRC, we did not just wake up in the morning and decided to go to a protest. And in fact, we do not agree with the protest, but what we want to put, it's clear. It's the fact that we called all leadership of club and society. In this institution, there are club and societies, those who are religious, those who are PMF, and there are many of them. We called them, and when we had a meeting, it was on Tuesday,
Yes.
we had a meeting with them, and those leadership, they said they want also to come on board and assist in making sure that we secure funds for our students. Then the proposal and the resolution of that meeting was to call the management on, it was on a Wednesday, on a Wednesday if I'm not mistaken, to say, management, can you please come meet with this leadership, because they are also leadership, they are also leading. Meet with this leadership, we come up with a strategy or a mechanism to make funds available for our students, all of us collectively. But the response we got from the management was very disappointing, of which I believe it's one of the things that made students to take the resolution that they've taken to go to protest, because it was clear that the management is not willing to come on board and assist in the matter at hand. You know, so those are things that I think it must be clear. We have made a proposal. Even in the last proposal, we as Westville SRC, we've submitted 3 documents now of proposals since at the beginning of the year, to say ours is to ensure that our students get registered, they get funding. Then how do we get the funding? In the last document, we indicated there are other programs like the Access program, which is designated for people who are coming from disadvantaged schools. We said previously, in fact, there were sponsorship, like there was ESCOM, there was Moses Kotane, and other sponsors which used to assist students who are in the Access program. They are no longer there. Then ours was to say, why don't we go back to this sponsorship? Why don't we go back to these companies and even go abroad, because this institution, Ukzn, is competing internationally. You know, use the fact that it is internationally recognized to secure funds for its students. You know, so that's what we said. We've made those proposals. We've, in fact, we are in a position to come up with many mechanisms to assist in the process. Not to say we just want money and we are sitting at the back. We are saying the management must just get money from nowhere. But we want to form part, not only the SRC, even the club and societies, political organizations here. They are saying all of us, we want to form, we want to be part of the game. We want to play in order to secure funds for our students. That's what we believe it became the cause of the strike. And even the other issue of REG, it's also another problem. You know, there is a process called the REG, Registration Appeals Committee. That the process, it assists those students who are having outstanding fees to be able to register, because according to the policy of this university, you cannot register only with outstanding fees. Then the previous SRC proposed a process which is called the REG to assist those students. You know, when you apply via REG, you submit your payment plan as to how are you going to be able to settle your debt in 2 years. At first it was 2 years. But it came as a surprise to us last year when we look into the system, it's only 1 year. And by the way, for record purposes, it must be noted that there has never been a meeting with the SRC that resolved in reducing the time interval for payment of REC. We knew 2 years, but now we were told about 1 year, of which we do not agree with that, but it's a matter of another day. So in that process of REC, there are many students who are not funded, who are classified as Group 2. People who registered with the process of REC, it's a process that is done online. There were 3,000 something. If maybe you'll assist me with figures because you sit in the committee. But out of that 3,000 students, let me say 3,000, those whose applications were successful, which went through, there were 1,800. There were 1,800. Out of that 1,800, the university is saying it's only willing to assist 650 students. So if you do your mathematics, you can see out of 3,000 students who are in need of assistance, the university is only willing to assist 650. And it's not like they are being given this money, they are being granted as a bursary. This money you are being borrowed, it's a loan. You are going to pay it back to the university through a payment plan that you have indicated. You have even attached your pay slip, your parents' pay slips and everything as a proof to say, I'm going to be able to pay this money. You know, so those are problems that we are faced with. Thank you.
I think just to add before you move on to other comrades, if you go to the University of KwaZulu-Natal, I think it has goals. One of their goals, if you look at goal number 1, I will not know it by mind, all of it, but it speaks about readdressing the imbalances of disadvantaged societies. It speaks about creating relationship with societies, understanding them and living with them. So now this is a university which has declared itself as it prides itself to help disadvantaged communities in South Africa. It has pledged also to help people who are disadvantaged through apartheid. It is not that we are saying that no, why is not doing this? They told us before we applied there. We saw UKZN as a home which understands our background in this country. And you have people like the former VC or Mr. Mahoba who are also in the commission of the NDP, which they decided not to have that one of the tools which should be used in this country to fight crime, to fight poverty, unemployment, is education. And yet the same institution which has distinguished itself in this key role of enhancing education in South Africa is the one which we find that we are now being financially excluded. It's not only about funding. There's an issue of residence in this country. You will not believe that we have a residence at Oval that has cold water from last year, yet they are paying more than 20,000 per annum. They go to the showers with cold water. We have a female residence which is called O Block. Those people do not have kitchens to cook. These are the issues that collect and then they bring up the storm from students. There are many issues which come into this place. The issue of residences and such services, they are still not in place. We have off-campus residents. You know, in this country, through teaching and learning programs, it has been said that all residences, the wireless internet caution is the new thing in South Africa. Let us have internet access to everyone. We have residents with no internet. We travel our studies through bus times. These are other complaints which are being made by students and they are not solved yet. So it's a whole lot of issues. It's just that the one of financial aid was leading, but we have other issues as I mentioned, which are still there. Other comrades will also add from our political organization, because if you are Jacob Zuma or Guatemala, you can't leave out the ANC.
If a stance from the Young Communist League of South Africa, we are truly against the commercialization of education. We believe that our forefathers fought for this country, and each and every person who is financially deserving deserves a fair chance. And we are making a stance, and we are saying as the YCN, we are not going to stand by and watch our students being excluded because they don't have money to study. And what's the most painful part is that when you ask the university how much financial aid or NSFAS scheme has given the university to fund students, we do not get a report. They are not telling us how much they got, and they are not going to tell us how many students have been funded with money. So what we are asking, where is that money going? Students are currently paying a student leave, which when you're calculating amongst the plus minus 42,000 students which are registered in the University of KwaZulu-Natal, it comes up to 12 million. We are saying that portion of that money must be used to register students, because that money comes from students anyways. And if we are going to ask for a report of what happens with that fund, we'll never get it. So what we are saying, once accountability from the universities, and we are pleading with our government, as the government is funding the universities, can they be accountable? You cannot have a university which is saying now it's autonomous while it is a state entity. Somehow they need to report where these funds are going to. And secondly, we are very clear as Westville, as a collective, as the pure aid Westville, we are saying not one student who is deserving to be in this university is going to be financially excluded. And we are remaining on that position. And the sad reality is that as we are sitting here, if you're going to come here in March, half of us won't be here because of the victimization which happens by institution for us fighting for what we think is right and fighting for our students. I just tell you a simple trend. The 2009 president, which was Dr. Kombo, the current president of SASCO, is not even allowed to set foot in this institution for fighting for what's right for students. Laki Kalanga, president of 2012, he was excluded from this university for fighting for what's right. The trend continues. Nkonzi, which is treasurer, Nkonzi Mkhize, was the treasurer of the Central SRC president. he does not have a degree today because he fought for his rights. And we are saying this one very clear. If we are going to be victimized, it's fine. But we know we are fighting for our rights and we are not going to step back. Perhaps to just outline and tell you how far we've been with negotiations. When an SRC is voted in, it is deployed by clubs and societies, political organizations within the campus. From December, there's something called the vacation executive. From December, they've been around the table speaking on management, raising these issues. So if you can count, it's December, January, it's mid-February, March. So it's been 2.5 months, and management has not come up with anything which is solid. The new VC has just came in, and he could fundraise 10 million. So what our question is that what the current leadership, especially the current manager of student services, Dr. Chalof, what is his job portfolio? What is he doing? Why couldn't he do this in 3 months? What the new VC could do in 2 days? That's our question. So it's not like we woke up and said we are going to strike. We've been around negotiations, we've deadlocked in 2.5 months. So what we are saying, as the YCL, we have a stance, and the employees which are in the SRC, which subscribe towards the YCL, are going to subscribe to this as well. We are saying this university will not function until all students who are deserving to be in this institution are registered.
Maybe to take you through the issue of wireless internet, it's not something that is new in this institution. Even in 2012, 2011, when it was for the first time the internet is being installed in on-campus residences, but when you go to the document of SASCO of demands of 2007, it was raised there in 2007, but it was first installed in 2011. Same applies. 2011, there was an agreement to say all university-owned residences are going to also have wireless internet. I mean, like off-campus, but or even the least, the residences. According to the lead document, it's one of the demands that wireless internet must be there, but it's not there. In all these residences, counting your Lansdale, your Miller Rosa, your Royal Estates, there is no wireless internet there, and we even struggling with the issue of study rooms in some of the residences, like your Miller Rosa, you know. So it's like what I want to raise is the fact that when we go to management, they keep on delaying. They keep on saying, no, this thing is in the pipeline, this thing is in the pipeline. The issue of kitchenettes in O Block, of kitchens in O Block, it was raised in 2010. But when we meet with Mr. Sbukumalo, the head of the department, the student housing, he told us that this thing is new to him, whereas we know very well it has been raised. It was part and parcel of the memorandum of 2012, the strike. I was a student here. You know, it was raised there, but to us they said no, it's a new thing, so they are going to look onto it. But it's something that can be fixed in 2016. Why in 2016 something that was raised in 2010? And for records, since 2012, if I'm not mistaken, there has been fee increment, fee resident increment, fee tuition increment, but there isn't anything new in our residences, even in terms of renovating, in terms of the facilities we use, you know. But we always experience increment. This year, the resident increment is 12%, let alone tuition increment, which is also 12%, let alone the registration increment, which amounts to 15%. And when you combine this thing, it gives you something around about 39% increment. You know, so that is the challenge we are faced with. The money that we pay, it keep on increasing, but the services, they do not change. That remains one of the challenges, that the nature of the management we are having.
And also for record on the issue of fees increment and residence increment, as I was part of the previous SRC last year, I think the colleague Comrade Tom from YCL was in the SRC then. We had agreed with the management there was a protest second semester last year, that issues of fee increment and that the issues of fee increment, it will be discussed with the new incoming SRC, which is the SRC of this year, whereby we'll find no comrade pool, no comrade Pilani, and then residences will not be increased. But anything with increment will be discussed with the incoming SRC of 2015. When I came to office with this SRC, which is my second term, they had already increased the fee increment. We asked about that process, why has the increment has increased in fees? Because we discussed and agreed in a meeting that fee increment and there will be no increment residence will be discussed with the incoming SRC of this year. But they decided to increase the fees in their own bedrooms. Then it was the same issue. We never discussed with them, we never spoke with them on that issue, and then they increased it on their own.
Basically, what's transpired, I'm sorry to jump in. Basically, what's transpired, we were part of the negotiation that he is talking about, and we agreed that the increment is going to be discussed with this coming SRC. But now, the current, I mean, because at that time there was a previous SRC. But you know, in this university, there is something called a year planner. In the year planner, all dates are stipulated to say the council, the only structure that take decisions, final decisions, the council, is stipulated in the year planner that it sits on this date, on this date, on this month. But what happened with our management, when we were busy with the SRC election, it was toward the end of October. When we were busy with the SRC elections, which took place on the 25th, and on the very same 25th, it was the beginning of the study week toward examination. The university management took a decision to call a special council meeting because they knew SRC leaders, they are busy with SRC elections. We are busy with SRC elections. There was no one in office at that time. Most of the students, they are busy with studying since it was a study week. So there was no one who would be available for that meeting on the side of students. They called a special council meeting which took the decision of increasing fees. We want to know what informed that council being special and called during that critical time. We did not have answers on that. We do not have answers even now. But they called a special council meeting. You know, so we feel betrayed.
Now the challenge comes in this fashion. When we actually approach the management and say we understand the issue of funding, but can we come in and be part of the problem so that we will be able to resolve the problem as a whole? And when the management tells us straight that no, we don't want to sit with you, they actually don't recognize as they're supposed to do clubs and societies. When we actually request for statistics, they actually turn their backs on us. But now the reality is that the issue of the funding, UKZN never had the issue of funding before, because people that were here at the time, they were able to come up with strategies to deal with the issue of funding. There was something that was called gap funding. There was something that was called gap funding. That process was the process that was used to add, you know, when you get a package of NSFAS pays 70% and gap funding covers 30%. And that particular process, they just phased it off, and they didn't bring anything new. And they actually created this issue, this crisis of funding to UKZN through also a fee increment. It can't be that in 2010, residences was, the resident cost was 9,000 for a single room. But today, in 2015, residences, it's 25,000, which means it's 150% increase. It can't be. And again, we, as SASCO, students, they come forward, bring some issues, and the manner that management does not take those issues serious. We had an issue of a racist lecture for almost 6 years now. For almost 6 years, but they don't take that thing serious. Students are crying every day about geology. Comrade can attest to such. Geology, we have a very racist lecturer who sometimes tells students that because we are black, we're not going to do honors. Geology is not for blacks. So I think management should learn to take our students, leaders, serious, and students as well. As much as we welcome 10 million that was brought forward as SASCO, but our stand still stands that the university is not going to operate up until the day they are going to meet our demand. It can't be that students they bath with cold water every day while they are paying that big amount of 23,000. So as SASCO, and we actually call all our students to rally behind the SRC in moving forward to ensure that our demands are met.
On behalf of ANC Youth League as a chairperson, our logo clearly states that we have to fight, learn and produce. For the one of fighting, our fathers and mothers have fought for that during the apartheid. Now we have a right for education. Now ours is to learn. The government have made sure that he provides us with funding. If you for instance, from 2005, the NSFAS was 2.5 billion, and now it's 9.5 billion. Government provides us with funding. The only problem is our institution, this institutional autonomy. We want to know the criteria that they are using in terms of funding the students, because that's the problem that we are facing. And the one for when we have another issue, the one for postgrad. We find the situation here in our institution. They said they don't want to fund. If we are doing a postgrad, we are not going to get any funding. So how are we going to have our doctors and professors, the black doctors and professors? That's the serious crisis that we are facing here in our institution. And again, they have suspended lectures. And then we clearly said that we want the registration date to change from the 20th of February up until all students are fully registered. It can be on the 31st of March, if need be. And we are still behind the SRC, and then we'll fight up until we get what we want.
The crisis we have of funding is throughout all 5 campuses. That's why we are saying even this 10 million is not enough for all 5 campuses. It's barely a drop in the ocean, but which is appreciated. So what we are saying, we are representing Westville, but as an RSC member of SASCO, I'm saying I'm representing not just SASCO in Ukzn, and even DUT is on strike. And we are fighting for the same thing.
The same thing, packages.
We want our students, the unfortunate, the offspring of the working class to be able to work. And if we were to look at it from an economical perspective, it takes much more less to give a person education than to sustain them for the rest of their lives, giving them grants. It does not make sense for, and the sad reality is that our government is giving us this money, but our institutions, which don't account on this money, are spent. We have something called discretionary funds in the university, which we don't know those monies where they're going. If they are going for team buildings, they spend millions. EMCs, they have bonuses. While the black child is being sent back home. The investors decided to close for a week. We wanted one day for negotiations. We want teaching and learning to continue, but what we are saying is each one is going to teach one. So we are one for all and all for nothing. So if one student gets excluded, nobody must go back to class. Simple. Because it's high time. We have been having increments since 2010. Nothing has been happening. The chairperson of Gift of Givers is an alumni of Ukzn.
Yes.
Why can't we source funds from those people? What is the Ukzn Foundation doing for students? Nothing. And our CFO, when I was a SRC deputy president in 2012, when he came, he told us that this is in a deficit. So now it raises eyebrows when now we ask for how accountability on the next first scheme. How much have they given you? How many students have you funded? It raises eyebrows when students are coughing up a student levy, which amounts to 12.something million, and there's no accountability whatsoever to students about that money. That student levy were agreed upon, and we said this is going to go to sports, it's going to go to SRC, it's going to go to student services. And when we ask for accountability on that, And we had agreed that the money is going to work like that. But because with the Department of Sports, we asked them if they are getting that percentage we agreed on. They are not getting it. We had we had something called a food security scheme in 2012, which was going to be paid for by the very same student levy. It's nowhere to be found now. So the problem is accountability and where is this money going? Because you cannot be saying an institution this big is being cut. If you look at the number of applicants to the university, people who have paid 500 rands, I think it comes down to the serious amount, but half of those people, even more than half, are going to register because they don't have the funds. But their 500 rands are already gone. So it's just a money-making scheme and we don't understand how it's happening. So we are still saying, if needs be, Monday will still be on the streets until all our students are registered. There is no university without students. And we call upon our students which have the financial muscle to have that sympathy for their fellow brothers which are now going to be sent back home because of just finances. And we're not speaking about people who are failing maybe. We're speaking about people who are passing. The only problem is finances. So we call upon our students which are also have the financial muscle to do so, even if it means you can sponsor. We are calling our corporates, we are calling our government, the ANC, we are pleading. Can we get assistance?
Just to add, I so wish this interview, or we might call it conference or anything, it goes far, because now we actually pleading to parents. Yeah. It is not nice when parents, they see us on TV singing and dancing, and then we get calls about what are you doing, yet when you come back at home with your bag, they cry, because now you are the only source, you are the only promise which could be a future breadwinner in their home, and when you come back you saying you have outstanding fees, they cry and they cry. Some others, they get heart attacks. We are pleading by this message that parents must take a stand. We are inviting parents to engage with us and also to meet with them as to what is the way forward. This is not a struggle of honest students. We are at a time that we need our parents to also come in their own method and strategies to come and ask the university what is happening, because they are affected. Parents should join us. Parents should not always cry at home and pray and pray and pray. It's good to pray, but they should come and join the struggle. We are asking and pleading for parents to come and ask what is happening, how can we help, because there's a lot parents can do. We are asking anyone who's interested in help to please come forward, because we cannot let people go home. Just to outline something, I think the university, we have a belief that it is using NSFAS packages to pay their debts. Because when you are a first year here, like last year, most first years were admitted here, they were told to pay registration fees. You pay they call it deposit, you pay a registration fee, and then come second year, you are told that you are not funded. It means that you've already benefited from your money of deposit for first year. The second year, you're going home. People are coming this year, they've paid registration fees, there's no funding. They say we are going to raise funds during the year. They've already paid their deposits. They will pay minimum amounts during the year. Come next year, their own fees, they go home. Another group of people comes, they pay their minimum amounts, they go home. So what are we saying? Are we trying to create a situation whereby we have an institution which should only have people who have the willingness to pay or the ability to pay, which in common says that we only want in this institution people who will afford their fees. This is what we are being told. If you cannot afford your fee, you are out of the system. And maybe in about 10 years or 15 years, we'll have people who will all afford in this institution, which you cannot allow. As previous comments have said, we need to comply with the Constitution. Education is a right, not a privilege. Africa is affected by this issue. All countries in the world, the only source of helping ourselves besides going to wars and killings, it's only through education. Are they saying that we must get out of the system and become thugs, prostitute? Should we go back to violence and crime? Are we being sent back to the streets as the African child? Why can't we be given what we've seen that has established countries like America, Britain and France and Italy? Why is this being done to us in our own land, in where our people have died? Why are we being chased at home in our own land? And we cannot allow that. This is recorded, and I'm telling you that now on record. I'm the next president to go. I'm going to the list of Kalanga, Nomakombo. They will fire me. I know that because I'm the voice of the students. And in this country, we have freedom of speech. And I will stand for students. And we'll know, even our all SASC members, even these comrades will come and report to you that, okay, now it's March, we are going for the university. They have erased us.
In addition, what I believe this university has done successfully is to indebt students. Basically, is to indebt, as the president have alluded on the fact that they admit you pay this 3,000 the registration amount, then the year after you get excluded. And when we are excluded, it's not like everything then becomes calm and they do not follow you. Your account is being transferred to debt collectors, and you remain as someone who has a bad name with the debt collectors for the entire of your life. That's what's happened. So basically what we're creating here, we're creating a nation of people who owes the debt collectors, because a number of thousands of students are being excluded each and every year to be subjected to debt collectors and be indebted for their entire life. And you know, for the matter of fact, when you are in debt tech, your name is being blacklisted, they call it blacklisted. You cannot be hired by any company out there. You know, so now if ever we let this thing happen, we are going to have a number of people, a generation of people who are indebted, who are sinking in debt with no means to sustain their lives, with no means to pay back the money that they are owing, because it keeps on increasing even when they are out of the system.
Interest.
You know, there is interest. You know, so we are not in a position to allow that thing to happen. That's why we call upon everyone out there, the parents, business owners, and everyone to come on board and assist. We cannot, and we are even telling, we want to send this message even to our government. We cannot have a situation whereby most of our youth out there is indebted, is in debt. We can't. And let's not allow that. Let's work collectively in addressing the problem at hand. And maybe lastly, we want to send this one clear. I think it's high time this thing called institutional autonomy is being regulated. And we urge our government, we urge anyone out there who's influential to deal with institutional autonomy, because that's the only thing that subjects us to the condition that we are in currently. Because this institution, they've got all powers, they've got all powers to take decisions on their own, regardless of the national agenda as to where does this country go to. Because I believe each and every institution in this country, before it's being able or it's being allowed to function, it must define itself within the national agenda of the country as to how does it willing to assist in pursuing the struggle of people of this country. And we know people of this country, they are suffering from poverty. There is poverty, there is unemployment, there is inequality. What is happening? The financial exclusion is one of the mechanism to further the inequalities in the society, because when people are being excluded, people will forever be unequal. So we are against that. We urge everyone who is influential to call for a regulation of institutional autonomy, because it's disadvantage us as Black African child. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think
I just wanted to add one thing.
okay, 1 minute.
Thank you.
For it.
I just want to,
One minute.
I just want to put this on record in actually calling all our parents and community to come in support of UKZN students, not UKZN students only, but students as a whole in South Africa. I just want to put this into record that in this university there is no one who is happy, because including staff members, some of them just that they are afraid to come forward and say, students, this is what is wrong there and there. So we are calling all support staff and academic staff to come forward, support us as student leaders and students as a whole, because in this university, we must put this in record. Security system, it's not even there. We have no security system. If you can put it in a statistical way, in each and every week there is a car that is stolen. In terms of laptops have been stolen every day. But then we have a security company that is doing nothing about that. We have your RMS that is doing nothing about that. So we are calling all staff members as well to come forward and join the struggle, because this struggle is not only for ours, it's not only for us as students, but for all of us as a university community. For instance, 1 week back, there was a car that was stolen in Government Bay. And when you can go and find out what actually happened, you'll find that the cameras that are here, they are only being used to catch us when we are striking and everything. But then when you go and check, there is no footage. And you ask yourself why there is no footage of such, because we have cameras all over the university. They actually put a very expensive fence that have cameras everywhere. But at the end of the day, there are cars that have been stolen. The laptops are stolen inside the room even. The fact is that the doors, the locking system that we are using, it's a very old system, and university management, we have been knocking saying that this system is an old system. Can we change the locks, because someone can come and open the room and take everything and close as well, so that at some stage you won't even see, you won't even be able to go to a police station and open a case, because you find the door locked but something was missing. Cops will tell you there's no actual enough evidence to open a case.
The securities have been reduced, but the level of crime in this campus is still increasing. We can applaud them because they do a great job when it comes to protest. There is no face they do not capture against SRC members and comrades wearing t-shirts of the ANC. I must outline that, especially t-shirts of SASCO and the ANC, they are the ones who are always captured on camera. If you get other t-shirts from Inkatha, DA, you can do an investigation. You'll never find a t-shirt from UTM, Inkatha, DA in those cameras. But if it's an ANC t-shirt or a SASCO t-shirt, you're in camera and you're striking.
The number of the securities was chopped. It was 2013, if I'm not mistaken, because the university said it cannot be able to pay these security personnel anymore. They are having a problem, a financial crisis. Then they cut it down, the number of securities. And it's something happens with staff members. In this university, I believe, with our government fighting for the rights of workers, there shouldn't be any institution that has temporary staff members who works for the university for more than a year, for more than 2 years, but they continue to be temporary. In this university, we've got people who have been within the university for like 4 years and above, some 5 years, but they're still temporary. They're not being hired because the university doesn't want to take responsibility. Doesn't want to take responsibility of your medical aid and everything, all other benefits. There are staff members. It's just that the problem with this university, everyone live on threats. It's only us student leaders. We've received threats. That's why we are saying we are up for the challenge. If ever it's need be, it's fine. They must expel us, but we will fight for what we believe it's right. Staff members, they also suffer the same. If you can go interview number of staff members here, you will find that the staff member has been within the university for like 6 years, but is not registered. It's not permanent. It's still a temporary worker.
I want to make this clear. When there was a protest last year, they know that in South Africa there's been an issue of xenophobia, whereby you have the people of South Africa are taking our brothers outside, or our brothers are taking each other. When there was a protest here last year after September, they sent a security company, which they called Red Ants, to solve the situation. It was only guys from Nigeria. We questioned this. What are you promoting when people in South Africa are protesting, mainly black students, and you bring people from Nigeria? You're saying that these people from Nigeria, they must attack people from South Africa. You had we had name calling as the assassin that was there, Kwere Zai Zai, South Africans, you are useless, Nigerians, you are useless. It was creating more conflict in our lovely Africa. Even this year they changed them. They brought people who are Zulus, because I stay in the Eastern Cape. There's no diversity. We've never seen people from Red Ants who are Indians or whites or colors. It becomes to bring questions, what is happening in this country? Because at the same time, we had the same white person who shoots people during strikes from last year, who calls student leaders and other comrades kafirs. We reported this to the university. Even this year, that person is still here leading this company, still naming the words like kafir, and nothing has been done. You can come here next week or next week, there's a process. We can show you this guy, he's still here working. under the security company of the university, calling students kafirs, that we do not deserve to be here. We do not want to annoy here, we are here to break property. That is my last comment, and thank you for your time.